Good morning and welcome. It's Sunday, the 15th of August, 2021. It's 8:30 in the morning, and I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM, and it is day 15. Orange juice. Day 15 of RPG A Day 2021, and today's word is supplement. Supplement. As in, we should all take vitamin supplements because we're all getting older. No, that's probably not what they meant. Okay, it's funny because we were just talking about this supplement canon options. And I think it's important to break down how the supplement thing works. And let's take for example, Dungeons and Dragons, because that seems to be all we talk about. So Dungeons and Dragons has core books, it has supplements, and then there are also third-party products that are made for or approved with Dungeons and Dragons, but then there are also third-party products that are using the 5th edition engine but are not approved for use for Dungeons and Dragons. Now, it's important when dealing with those that before you as a player use something from a supplement, you make sure the Dungeon Master is okay with it. I don't want you making a character using a book that you got from Orange Juice Press and then coming to the table and finding out, the DM isn't allowing characters made from that book because A, it's a third-party supplement, and B, it's not something that's part of the core canon of his campaign. Now, you could argue that, everything in Dungeons & Dragons is optional. You don't really have to use any of the rules other than Strength, Dex, Con, Intelligence, Wisdom, Charisma. That is, I guess, true, though it's generally accepted if it's in the player's handbook, it's official and should be allowed. And I guess now if it's in Tasha's, it's official and it should be allowed. I don't know how that really works. I don't understand. But generally, if it's a core book from Wizards of the Coast, then it's not a supplement, and unless the DM is saying I'm only running humans only or whatever, which of course the DM could do, it's probably okay if you use one of those books to make a character. But again, you should make sure. Thus the importance of Session 0, which we talk about way too much. Now then, we also have supplements that Wizards of the Coast makes for Dungeons and Dragons, like, Rime of the Frost Maiden or the Swords Coast Adventurer's Path. Although those are made by Wizards of the Coast and they are supplements, they're optional, which means if you're not running a game using the Swords Coast, let's say you're running a different world, you don't have to allow the Swords Coast Adventurer's Guide or Ravenloft, because those are supplements and they're not technically part of the core. So if you're running a game on your own homebrew world and somebody says, I want to use this class from the Swords Coast Adventurer's Guide, you could say, I'm not running the Swords Coast, so that doesn't exist in my world. But maybe we can find something that does exist in my world that does kind of the same thing. Let's take a look. Then there are supplements that Wizards of the Coast has put out that use the 5th edition engine, but again, are not technically part of the 5th edition canon worlds. Case in point, Strixheaven, which seems to be a big topic this week. Strixheaven uses 5th edition, but it is not a core aspect of Dungeons & Dragons. It's a supplement. In fact, it's a separate universe similar to Eberron. So you don't have to use it or even acknowledge it because it's a completely different universe. If somebody comes to your table saying, I want to use this thing from Eberron, you can say, I'm not running Eberron, so those don't exist in my world. But let's see if there's something that does the same thing in my world that does exist, so you can be happy playing my game. Notice how I try and, work things out here. Then we get to the third-party supplements that are approved for use with Dungeons & Dragons. So again, let's say you get a product from, I don't know, because there's orange juice on my table, Orange Juice Publishing Company. And it says, approved for use with 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And in that product from Orange Juice Publishing Company is something you really, really like. a class, a race, a something. So you make that character, and then you bring it to the table, and the DM's like, I've never heard of Orange Juice Publishing, much less this race, class, whatever. This doesn't exist in my game. We discussed very, what I'm going to be allowing or not allowing. I'm sorry. But again, maybe we can find something that does the same thing that I will allow, but yeah. Or similar thing, because there's always a happy medium. And then finally, we have games that are now using the 5th edition engine, but are in no way, shape, or form supplements of Dungeons & Dragons. Case in point, Guardians, the superhero role-playing game, is using the 5th edition engine, but is no way, shape, or form appropriate for use with Dungeons & Dragons. So before you consult a supplement, before you as a player find something in a supplement that you want to bring to the table, make sure it's okay with the game master. Now, you don't have to buy them a copy of the product. You can just make a photocopy, or you can send them a link, or you could just discuss it with them ahead of time and say, hey, I've got this book, and it's really got this character class I really want to play, but I know it doesn't, and the DM could say, that doesn't exist in my world. I understand you really want to run a Luxodon, but I'm not doing Ravenica, but maybe we can find a happy medium between the Luxodon and what I am allowing in my game, so you can be happy and I can be happy, and it doesn't really destroy the story. Because there's happy mediums in this game. You can find something that does the similar thing to what you wanted. Case in point, and I think I've told this story before, where I was in this game and this guy was running an alchemist from Unearthed Arcana, and he never okayed the alchemist class, even though it was a playtest class and not official, with the DM. He just sort of kept throwing this stuff at the DM, and the DM kept trying to, work with him. And he got to the point where he could have what he interpreted the rules as saying he could have a robot. A robot. Now, from day one, the DM made it very clear the tech level and magic level of this campaign was much more King Arthur Iron Heroes as opposed to fantastic high adventure. Dehydrated. High adventure D&D. So, of course, there wasn't going to be a robot in his world. His world hadn't even hit the level of the Industrial Revolution technology-wise. Houses still had thatched roofs. But, it does exist in D&D, a homunculus. And a homunculus is an official thing. So he was willing to work with the player and say, I don't have robots, but, you could do a golem. Or you could do a homunculus. Or you could just animate a skeleton. All of which are similar to what you want that exist in this game, and I'm willing to work with you. Now, sadly, that guy was so set on having a robot that he didn't see that he could have the same thing by just using the rules that were existence. Robot, homunculus, same thing. So he threw a fit. He threw a screaming, crying fit. And this was not a kid. This was an adult who was like 23 years old. Table flipped, throwing things around, cursing everybody out, stomping out of the store, and apparently moving to Seattle because he was so upset at us that we wouldn't let him have a robot. But you know what? He was going to find a game where he could have a robot in D&D. Well, you know what? There's plenty of games that let you have robots, but you could have an automated construct serving you in D&D. It's called a homunculus. So before you use a supplement and bring it to the table, make sure the DM is okay with it. Supplement, because the rules are optional. Supplement. Strixheaven is not going to ruin D&D. Supplement. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming. If you want to take part in RPG A Day 2021, just check out the link. I will talk to you later.